My shop is very unique. We do things differently here. For us, it's all about making them as stylish and beautiful as they can be.
What if your most trusted business partner destroyed your entire empire and left you financially ruined? That's exactly what happened to Danny Koker from Counting Cars. And today we're exposing the most shocking betrayal in reality TV history. Most fans think Danny Koker has it made with Counting Cars on the History Channel, running his legendary Counts Kustoms shop and living the dream, restoring incredible cars. But here's where it gets devastating. The person Danny Koker trusted most at Counts Kustoms, someone who worked alongside Counting Cars Danny for years, systematically stripped away everything Danny had built, leaving the Counts Kustoms Danny we all know and love completely broke and betrayed. I've uncovered exclusive court documents, insider testimonies, and behind-the-scenes footage from the Counting Cars History Channel production that reveals how this calculated betrayal unfolded while cameras were rolling. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how someone Danny considered family became his worst enemy, the shocking financial damage to Danny Koker's car empire, and how this betrayal nearly destroyed both Counting Cars Danny Koker's reputation and his legendary Counts Kustoms legacy forever. Did you know that one of the most recognizable names in custom cars started as a complete accident? Danny Koker from Counting Cars never planned to become the Count, but sometimes destiny has other plans. Back in the day, before Counting Cars made Danny a household name, he was just another car enthusiast trying to make his mark in Las Vegas. But here's where it gets interesting. Danny developed this character called Count Cool Rider, which eventually became CC Rider, and that's exactly where his legendary nickname originated. It wasn't some marketing genius move or carefully planned branding strategy. It was pure, authentic passion that would later define everything about Counts Kustoms Danny and his empire. The transformation from regular guy to the Count happened organically through his love for classic rock and custom vehicles. Danny Koker wasn't trying to create a persona for Counting Cars on the History Channel. He was just being himself. But that's not all. This nickname would become the foundation for everything, from his legendary shop Counts Kustoms to his eventual stardom on Counting Cars Danny Koker became famous for. The character represented his rebellious spirit, his rock and roll heart, and his incredible eye for transforming ordinary vehicles into extraordinary masterpieces. What's fascinating is how this simple nickname evolved into a global brand that would define Danny Koker's cars and his entire legacy. The Count wasn't just a name, it became a promise of quality, creativity, and authentic passion that fans of Counting Cars History Channel would come to love and respect. Little did Danny know that this playful character would eventually lead him to become one of the most trusted names in custom automotive work. What if I told you that Danny Koker's multi-million-dollar empire started in a garage with zero advertising budget? Most people think Counts Kustoms Danny built his reputation through flashy marketing and TV connections, but the truth is far more inspiring. Danny Koker didn't have a master plan or business degree when he founded Counts Kustoms in the late 1990s. He had something far more valuable: pure obsession with automotive perfection. Growing up surrounded by musicians and gearheads, Danny developed an almost supernatural ability to see potential in broken-down vehicles that others would send to the scrapyard. But here's what made Danny different from every other custom shop owner. While competitors were spending fortunes on advertisements and celebrity endorsements, Danny Koker was building something that money couldn't buy: genuine trust within the Las Vegas car community. His approach was revolutionary in its simplicity. Instead of promising the world, he delivered beyond expectations on every single project. Word spread like wildfire through car shows, racing events, and collector circles. People weren't just talking about another custom shop, they were talking about an artist who happened to work with metal and engines. The foundation Danny built during these early years would become the bedrock for everything that followed, including his eventual fame on Counting Cars. His reputation for blending classic automotive heritage with bold, innovative customization caught the attention of serious collectors who demanded perfection. These weren't casual car enthusiasts. These were people who could afford to go anywhere but chose Counts Kustoms because Danny Koker's cars represented something special. The quality, attention to detail, and respect for automotive history that Danny established during this period would later become the calling card that made Counting Cars Danny Koker a household name across America. What if the biggest break of your career came from a completely unexpected phone call? That's exactly what happened to Danny Koker, and it completely transformed his life forever. Most fans assume Counting Cars was Danny's first taste of television fame, but that's totally wrong. The real story began when Pawn Stars producers were desperately searching for an authentic car expert who could evaluate vintage vehicles and motorcycles for their hit show. They needed someone who wasn't just knowledgeable, but had that special spark that would captivate audiences. But here's the twist. Danny wasn't even trying to get on television when opportunity knocked on his door. The Pawn Stars appearances weren't scripted auditions or carefully planned career moves. These were real moments where Danny Koker's genuine passion and encyclopedic knowledge of automotive history shined through the screen. Viewers immediately connected with his authentic enthusiasm and no-nonsense expertise. When Danny examined a classic car or vintage motorcycle on Pawn Stars, you could see the genuine excitement in his eyes. This wasn't an actor playing a role. This was a true automotive artist sharing his craft with the world. The producers quickly realized they had struck gold with Danny's natural television presence. What happened next will shock you. The overwhelming positive response from Pawn Stars viewers created a demand that couldn't be ignored. Fans weren't just asking about the cars Danny evaluated, they were asking about Danny himself. They wanted to know more about Counts Kustoms, more about his restoration process, and more about the man behind the expertise. The History Channel executives saw these numbers and knew they had found their next big star. This organic viewer demand became the launching pad for Counting Cars Danny Koker's own show, proving that authentic passion always trumps manufactured celebrity. The transition from guest expert to leading man happened so naturally that it felt inevitable, setting the stage for Counting Cars to become one of the most successful automotive shows in television history. What if creating a hit television show was actually the worst business decision you ever made? That might sound crazy, but Danny Koker's journey with Counting Cars proves that fame comes with a price nobody warns you about. When the History Channel launched Counting Cars in 2012, they weren't just creating another automotive show, they were about to turn Counts Kustoms Danny's quiet Las Vegas operation into a global spectacle. The show promised to give viewers an unfiltered look behind the scenes of Danny Koker's custom car empire, showcasing the incredible transformations happening daily at his legendary shop. But here's where it gets interesting. Counting Cars wasn't supposed to be just another reality show focused on drama and manufactured conflict. Danny Koker insisted on keeping the focus on what mattered most: the vehicles themselves and the incredible craftsmanship required to bring them back to life. Each episode of Counting Cars Danny Koker starred and became a masterclass in automotive restoration, blending technical expertise with compelling storytelling. Viewers got to witness the entire process, from finding diamond in the rough classics to delivering jaw-dropping finished products that exceeded every expectation. The success was immediate and overwhelming. Counting Cars History Channel audiences couldn't get enough of Danny's infectious enthusiasm and his team's incredible talent. What set this show apart from other automotive programs was the authentic passion that radiated from every scene. You weren't watching actors pretend to care about cars. You were witnessing real artists pour their souls into every restoration project. Danny Koker cars featured on the show became legendary among enthusiasts, with some builds becoming more valuable than original factory classics. However, what viewers didn't realize was that this incredible success would soon create problems that nobody at Counts Kustoms was prepared to handle. The demand for Danny's work exploded overnight, but the shop's capacity remained the same, setting the stage for the challenges that would nearly destroy everything Danny had built. What if your biggest strength became your greatest weakness and nearly destroyed everything you built? That's exactly what happened to Danny Koker, and the consequences were more devastating than anyone could have predicted. While Counting Cars was breaking ratings records and making Danny a household name, a dangerous pattern was emerging behind the scenes at Counts Kustoms. Danny's approach to business was guided by pure passion rather than cold profit calculations, and this philosophy was about to create serious problems. In a revealing interview with the Las Vegas Sun, Danny admitted something that shocked industry experts. "I'm not just here to make money. I love doing this. If I don't love a car, I won't touch it. It has to mean something." But here's where this admirable philosophy became a business nightmare. Danny Koker was consistently undercharging customers and taking on projects that made no financial sense whatsoever. While this earned him incredible respect within car enthusiast circles and built an unshakable reputation for authenticity, it was quietly undermining the financial stability of Counts Kustoms Danny had worked decades to establish. The shop was producing million-dollar quality work while charging prices that barely covered materials and labor costs. This wasn't sustainable business practice, it was a recipe for disaster. What made matters worse was that Danny couldn't say no to cars that captured his imagination. Every classic vehicle that rolled through the doors of Counts Kustoms represented a potential passion project rather than a profitable business opportunity. While fans of Counting Cars Danny Koker loved seeing this authentic enthusiasm on screen, they had no idea that this same passion was creating serious cash flow problems behind the scenes. Danny was essentially subsidizing his customers' dream cars with his own money, treating his business more like an expensive hobby than a commercial operation. The warning signs were everywhere, but Danny's love for the craft blinded him to the mounting financial pressures. Comment below which Danny Koker cars from the show you think represented his biggest passion projects, because those same vehicles might have contributed to his biggest business challenges. What if the person you trusted most with your business was secretly stealing thousands of dollars right under your nose? That nightmare became Danny Koker's reality in 2015, and it nearly destroyed everything he had built at Counts Kustoms. The betrayal came from someone Danny never suspected, former employee Joseph Frontier, who had been quietly embezzling company funds for months while everyone focused on the success of Counting Cars. This wasn't just petty theft or a momentary lapse in judgment. This was systematic financial fraud that targeted the heart of Danny Koker's empire. But here's where it gets absolutely infuriating. According to public records obtained by TMZ, Frontier wasn't just taking small amounts of cash from the register. He was using company credit cards and accounts to fund his personal lifestyle, including payments on a Range Rover and expensive airline tickets for personal travel. The total amount allegedly embezzled reached tens of thousands of dollars, money that should have gone toward materials, employee salaries, and business operations at Counts Kustoms Danny had worked so hard to build. What makes this betrayal even more devastating is the timing. This was happening while Counting Cars Danny Koker was at the peak of its popularity on the History Channel. While fans were watching Danny transform incredible vehicles and build his reputation as one of America's most trusted custom car experts, his own employee was systematically robbing him blind. The legal battle that followed exposed serious weaknesses in the internal oversight systems at Counts Kustoms, raising uncomfortable questions about how such extensive financial misconduct could go undetected for so long. The Frontier case became a wake-up call that forced Danny to confront a harsh reality. Running a successful television show and managing a complex business operation required completely different skill sets, and the pressure of doing both simultaneously had created dangerous blind spots. This betrayal wouldn't be the last challenge facing Danny Koker's empire, but it was definitely the most personal and devastating blow to his trust in the people around him. What if your business success attracted so much attention that every mistake became front-page news? That's exactly what started happening to Danny Koker after the Joseph Frontier scandal broke, and the scrutiny revealed problems that went far deeper than anyone imagined. The embezzlement case wasn't an isolated incident. It was just the tip of an iceberg that threatened to sink Counts Kustoms entirely. News outlets like the Las Vegas Review-Journal began investigating other aspects of the business, uncovering a pattern of financial disputes that painted a troubling picture of Danny's operation behind the glamorous facade of Counting Cars. But here's where the situation gets really concerning. Reports started surfacing about disputes with clients who claimed their custom builds were taking much longer than promised, with some customers waiting months beyond agreed delivery dates. Even more damaging were allegations about delayed payments to suppliers, the very vendors who provided the parts and materials that made those incredible Counting Cars Danny Koker transformations possible. These weren't just minor accounting hiccups. These were serious business relationship breakdowns that could cripple any custom shop's ability to operate effectively. The timing couldn't have been worse for Danny's reputation. While millions of viewers were tuning in to watch Counting Cars History Channel episodes showcasing flawless builds and happy customers, industry insiders were whispering about a very different reality behind the scenes. Suppliers began demanding cash payments upfront instead of extending credit terms, making it even harder for Counts Kustoms Danny to manage the complex logistics of high-end restoration projects. The financial pressure was mounting from every direction, creating a perfect storm that threatened to expose the unsustainable business practices that had been hidden beneath the show's success. What really stung was how these revelations contradicted everything Danny Koker's brand represented. Fans had fallen in love with his authentic passion and commitment to quality, but now they were reading headlines about business disputes and financial problems that made the whole operation look unprofessional and unreliable. What if the thing that made you famous was slowly destroying the very passion that got you started? That's the devastating paradox Danny Koker faced as Counting Cars became a massive hit, but the demands of television production began compromising everything he stood for. As the show's popularity exploded, eagle-eyed fans and automotive enthusiasts started noticing disturbing changes in the quality and authenticity of the builds featured on Counting Cars Danny Koker's episodes. What had once been meticulous, museum-quality restorations were starting to look rushed, incomplete, and suspiciously scripted for television drama rather than genuine craftsmanship. But here's where the criticism gets really damaging. Car enthusiasts on forums like CarComplaints.com began documenting specific examples of builds that appeared to prioritize television deadlines over the quality standards that had made Counts Kustoms Danny's reputation legendary. These weren't casual viewers complaining about minor details. These were serious automotive experts who could spot the difference between genuine restoration work and television-friendly shortcuts. The accusations of staging and scripted moments started undermining the authentic passion that had originally attracted fans to Danny Koker Cars and his incredible team. What made this situation even more heartbreaking was watching Danny struggle to defend his work while knowing that the critics had valid points. The pressure to produce weekly episodes for Counting Cars History Channel was forcing impossible timelines that would never exist in a normal custom shop environment. Projects that should take months were being compressed into weeks, and builds that required careful attention to historical accuracy were being modified for maximum visual impact on television. This wasn't the Danny Koker who had spent decades building a reputation for uncompromising quality and respect for automotive heritage. The saddest part was seeing how this affected Danny personally. In interviews, you could hear the frustration in his voice as he tried to balance his lifelong passion for perfect craftsmanship with the commercial demands of running a hit television show. What do you think was the biggest compromise Danny had to make for television? Comment below with your thoughts on how reality TV changed the authenticity of Counting Cars. What if your most trusted employees started disappearing one by one without any explanation, leaving fans and co-workers completely confused? That's exactly what began happening during the height of Counting Cars' success, and the mysterious departures sent shockwaves through the automotive community that are still felt today. The most shocking disappearance was Scott Jones, who had been handling crucial business management responsibilities during the show's earlier seasons before suddenly vanishing from Counting Cars Danny Koker episodes without a trace. One day he was there managing operations at Counts Kustoms. The next day he was gone like he never existed. But here's where this gets really suspicious. No official explanation was ever given for Scott's departure, which only fueled wild speculation among fans who had watched him work alongside Danny for years. Scott wasn't just some background employee who could quietly slip away unnoticed. He was a key figure who appeared regularly on Counting Cars History Channel episodes and played a vital role in the day-to-day operations that kept the shop running smoothly. His sudden absence left a gaping hole that was impossible to ignore, yet Danny and the production team acted like nothing had happened. The pattern became even more disturbing as other longtime team members began disappearing from Counts Kustoms Danny's operation without explanation. Fans started creating online forums dedicated to tracking these mysterious departures, trying to piece together what was really happening behind the scenes. The speculation ranged from internal disputes over money and creative control to fundamental disagreements about the direction of the show and the shop. Some industry insiders suggested that the pressure of maintaining television production schedules while running a legitimate custom car business was creating impossible working conditions that drove away talented employees. What made these departures even more heartbreaking was the impact on team chemistry that had made early seasons of Counting Cars so compelling to watch. The authentic camaraderie and shared passion for automotive excellence that originally defined Danny Koker's crew was being replaced by a revolving door of new faces who lacked the history and genuine relationships that fans had fallen in love with. What if everything you built over decades was crumbling around you, but you had to keep smiling for the cameras? That was Danny Koker's nightmare reality as mounting pressures from every direction threatened to destroy both Counting Cars and his beloved Counts Kustoms empire. The challenges weren't just financial anymore. They had become deeply personal attacks on everything Danny represented as an automotive artist and businessman. In a heartbreaking interview with the Las Vegas Sun, Danny revealed the internal struggle that was tearing him apart. "It's not easy, but I'll always put the vehicles first. This isn't just a show to me. It's my life." But here's what made Danny's situation so impossible to navigate. Every decision he made seemed to create new problems that contradicted his core values. If he focused on television production deadlines, the quality of his custom work suffered and disappointed longtime clients who had trusted Counts Kustoms Danny with their dream projects. If he prioritized craftsmanship over television schedules, the network executives pressured him about ratings and commercial viability. Danny was caught in a vicious cycle where success in one area automatically meant failure in another, and there seemed to be no way to satisfy everyone who depended on him. The most devastating part was watching Danny realize that fame had fundamentally changed everything he touched. The authentic passion that had made Danny Koker Cars legendary among enthusiasts was being questioned by the very people who had once celebrated his work. Longtime customers were wondering if they could still trust the man who had become more famous for television drama than automotive excellence. The Danny Koker who had built his reputation on undercharging customers because he loved their projects was now being accused of prioritizing profit and publicity over genuine craftsmanship. Yet through all these challenges, Danny continued fighting to preserve the integrity that had defined his entire career. He knew that his legacy wouldn't be measured by television ratings or celebrity status, but by the quality of the vehicles that rolled out of his shop and the trust of the automotive community that had supported him from the beginning. If you think this video was shocking, you absolutely have to check out the video showing on your screen now, where we discuss an even more bizarre story that will leave you speechless.